do you count the substitution jutsu as seeing him use body flicker?
No, I don't think. I think that's space time ninjutsu. I'm not gonna lie. I covered that in my three jutsu you probably don't understand video. Because
Okay,
like it
well,
doesn't make
okay,
sense for
I
it to just
hate
be
to
like
keep derailing, but if that is the case, why do you think the ninjas stopped using it?
well, I think that it requires very precise timing. So like for a good example as to why it almost certainly cannot be physical movement is whenever
All the times
J-
it's used.
yeah, well, so like the best one in my opinion is Jiraiya is like traps one of the paths of pain like in his hair, and then he stabs it, and then it's substituted out for a log, and it's just like a different location. It's like first of all, the you would have to assume that pain is just perception blitzing in there.
I think
Um,
a better example is when Lee has Gara wrapped up in bandages
yeah,
and Gara's being kicked in the air. Lee blinks and Gara, the guy who just stands still all his life, is
yep,
somehow running out of the bandages in
yeah. So
time.
it kind of has to be like some sort of space, like low end space time ninjutsu. It just requires precise timing, which is why it's like probably not something people use. Whenever we get to like the later parts of the show,
The
but or the
But at the
manga.
same
But
time, all it a blink
the
from
problem is
Lee.
it's very inconsistent because Sakura needs hand signs to perform it against Keen. We have Kakashi in the first like two instances that it's used against Sasuke when he throws a kunai at him in the bell test, and versus the Demon Brothers during the Land of Waves. He just gets physically hurt. You see blood, and then Kakashi isn't actually hurt because actually it was a log. But then Deidara uses substitution to get out of Naruto during the Kazekage rescue arc, and Deidara is still hurt from Naruto's attack. So what is the substitution jutsu? It just doesn't make it.
yeah,
Just changes.
well, so I think in the data example, he probably messed up the timing. Like he probably like subbed out, like right after the moment of attack. Like once it landed, he subbed out, but he didn't take the full force of it.
So
And then like with Kakashi, like the way the data book describes it, it says that it'll appear as if they were hit. So it's probably
yeah,
like almost like a Jedi mind trick. Like they're convinced that they landed the blow, even if they didn't. And so it's visually showing us like what the opponent would be seeing.
in my
Like it's
opinion,
like
because
yeah, go ahead.
at least with this one, and I think no interpretation's the most consistent, but this might be the most consistent, but it doesn't be consistent. I think the best way to think of substitution isn't space-time, though I do like that. It would be basically transformation. So basically, Kakashi is somehow using like the shadow clone jutsu on a log, and that just is Kakashi's is walking around. Because I think it's kind of implied that Kakashi just wasn't actually there, but he was watching Team 7 from the bushes,
Well, depends on
waiting
which
for the
scene
Demon
you
Brothers
talk about, though.
to attack.
Because in some cases, like for example,
Exactly, it doesn't
Gaara
work.
and Deidara, yeah, they took advantage of an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
I
But
think Genjutsu would work too. Like they just activate a Genjutsu that makes you think something. The problem is, okay, but then like did Deidara Genjutsu, did Gaara Genjutsu the whole arena?
yeah, and I am like anime only, so maybe this is just in the anime, but it feels like, if I remember it correctly, that Kakashi was, after he realized the Demon Brothers were in the water because, oh, it didn't rain today, or whatever the
Yeah.
stupid stuff. It feels like he was just in the bushes waiting for the Demon Brothers to attack, like waiting for them to attack the fake Kakashi who wasn't the real Kakashi, because he was in the bushes waiting for them to attack the fake Kakashi.
Yeah, I mean, I do think if we're saying it's like shadow clone slash transformation though, then that would imply that every time it's used, the people who used it like prepped it ahead of time, which
Yeah,
like
which
doesn't really
doesn't make
work for like
sense.
Sakura. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do think it's kind of got to be most consistently uh like some low level space time ninjutsu, at least as far as like how we see it work in the series. I'm not sure if that was Kishimoto's intention. I can't really speak to it either way, but like that's just kind of the way that
But that also,
it sort of has to
that's
work.
just
The way he visually depicts
ridiculous.
it in the bell test, though, makes it feel like it's not space-time ninjutsu, but like
Well, the
just
explanation in
Kakashi
the bell
moving a
test, which is the
clone.
only time we get an explanation, is just he goes to get a log and puts it in his, like he's just speed blitzing them. He's just using taijutsu basically.
Yeah.
Um, What I'll say is it. Okay, actually, someone else talk, please. That's just ridiculous.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as the
I remember what I was gonna say. Okay, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
as far as the Raikiri though, I do think like him being relative to 6K guy there, and then the even if you assume, oh, what I said earlier, and then to Acolyte, I do agree that that could be body flicker at the end of chapter 4, but I wouldn't be entirely certain.
Yeah, real quick.
But even if it is body flicker, you could just say that guy's body flicker is slightly faster. Like it's not too crazy.
Yeah, on the substitution jutsu, I think also, even if it's consistent, it's ridiculous for every character in the series to just have a Meno Tejikara, which is what it is.
That's literally what it is. Yeah, it's literally just Amino Tejikara, except you need perfect timing. Like that's really and it has to be it seems to have to be something of substance in your environment, whereas like the Amino Tejikara seems to be able to be used on like dust particles because like Sasuke sometimes just like switches places.
Well, to be honest,
nothing.
that one was also just retconned, which is another reason why I wouldn't use Boruto for everything, because like in Boruto, he can just only swap places. That's just all they have him do. Whereas in Naruto, he could teleport to people and teleport other people other places. Like he just teleports Madara in between him and Naruto. He can't do that.
Yeah.
They just retconned it.
I'm not sure if I would consider. Has there been like a time when it would make sense for him to do that? Maybe it could just be poor writing, to be honest. But
I think the intent was for him to swap places.
Instead of teleporting himself into Ishiki's chokehold, he could have just teleported Ishiki 20 feet to the left, like he does with Madara.
Maybe there's like a constraint with it of some kind. I'd have to look at it, but yeah, I mean, regardless though, like with the substitution, like just the way that we see it depicted, it kind of has to be like a lesser version of Amino Tejikara. Like he has to like switch places with you have to switch places with something, but it also is just stated to require super precise timing, whereas like Sasuke doesn't require that timing.
Yeah, but then we're saying the Deuteragonist, Indra reincarnate, perfect Choku Tomoe, Rene Sharingan, God of an I am a god jutsu. It's just like the same thing. It's like a D rank jutsu that like academy students have.
Yeah, but we're comparing it to Madara as a limbo, and then Sasuke gets the substitution jutsu.
To be clear though, the Amino Tejikara, like that Rinnegan ability doesn't only allow for the swapping of places. It also contributes to him being able to open up the portals and stuff.
You can't prove it's the same jutsu.
Well, I would imagine it is because it's the only space-time ninjutsu that he ever references having. And then, like, we know the Rinnegan doesn't offer, at least nobody else's Rinnegan offers a space-time ninjutsu like that. So, since we know he does have a space-time ninjutsu, and that would be a space-time ninjutsu, it's kind of like how like the outer path of the Rinnegan you can use for like multiple different things, but it's still just the outer path. So it's like you can use it for like the chains, summoning the Ghetto Mazo. It's what's used to control the 6 paths of pain, like the transmission of the chakra. And then like with the Diva path, you're able to use Bancho Tenin, Shimaku Tensei, Shinra Tensei, things like that. So it could just be like that essentially functions as an additional path of the Rinnegan, where he's able to like he has an ability that has subsets of abilities. You know what I mean? Because like the Diva Path's ability at large is essentially like gravity manipulation.
That feels like a fallacy, but I'm not confident enough to say it is.
Well, so like if you look at like the Diva Path's ability, quote unquote, broad, would be manipulating gravity or like aspects of gravity. But then he has applications of that. And then like the Ashura Path, his ability is like mechanical transformation, but he can use it for multiple different things. The human path's ability is manipulation of souls or like mental energy, which he can use to read people's minds or like rip their souls out of their bodies. So like each quote unquote Rinnegan ability has like a subset of abilities, or at least like one sub ability that comes along with it. So I think it's reasonable to assume that we could also attribute that to like the Amino Teijikara ability,
Well,
where
I
yeah,
would agree with that, except it's pertaining to the same ability and the way that it's related. So we look at what the limitations of Ameno Tejikara are. For the most obvious example is the fact that it can only be teleporting things that are, what is it, 20 meters? What's the exact measure?
50
It doesn't
meters,
matter.
I think.
Yes,
something like
whatever it
that.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, space-time is a little bit farther than that, and so why would it be different? You could say maybe because one's instantaneous, whereas the other takes time to make the portal, which maybe you could argue is a difference in chakra amount that you pour into it or something. But I feel like that's a weird way to have it be the same ability.
Yeah, well, I mean, you also like to go to the Shinra or to the Diva Path. It's like the level of destruction that you can have, and like the range that you can have with the Shibaku Tensei could just be greater than the range that you could have with the Bansho Tenin, and definitely has greater destructive capacity. So it's like the range of the ability, um, and how it's exactly performed wouldn't really matter in my opinion. If it's
I'll
a
also
similar,
add
like if it's in
that
a
only
similar vein.
Shinra Tensei is ever stated at the 5-second cooldown, and never
Yeah.
Bansho Tenin for whatever reason. It just they never say it.
It
But
would
it
make
might
sense
just
for it to
not
happen,
have
though.
the same weakness.
Yeah. So if we if just for the sake of argument, we assume that Shibaku Tensei and Bansho Tenin don't have that weakness, then it's like not only would the pros be different, but the cons would also be different. So with the but it's the same path using those techniques, and it's broadly the same ability, gravity manipulation, but different techniques within said ability. Um, so I think like I don't think it's unreasonable to say that it could be the Amino Tejikara that allows for him to do that. Um, but I
It's
mean,
my
it wouldn't.
preferable answer, at
Yeah.
least.
I mean, I'd be
Yeah.
more fine if it was basically summoning jutsu, but rather than a contract with an animal, it's basically the same thing that Ten does, or what Sasuke did in his fight
Well, that's
versus
what Flying
Itachi with the
Raijin
Kuda.
basically is, summoning jutsu on yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just weird to me
Yeah.
that this technique, substitution jutsu, would be less limited than a Metal Tenichikara, since you could just use it at an infinite range, and it also just substitutes yourself out.
Well, so that's what's interesting about substitution jutsu too, which is weird because the data book profile says that you replace yourself with something in your environment. It's like, okay, well, what does it mean by environment? Probably like relative proximity. But there are like no trees anywhere to be found near the Jiraiya fight.
Exactly.
So it's like, how in the world did that path of pain substitute a log? You know, it's like you have to just assume he had like a stockpile of logs somewhere nearby. But yeah, it's definitely strange.
But even
I
then,
think,
what is like the size limit on this? Because hypothetically, could you know how like most ninja have kunai and shuriken in their back pocket? Could they summon, like, does it have to be sufficiently large? Because could hypothetically Naruto just substitute with a kunai he threw earlier in the fight? Sabusa substituted with a little tiny bunny rabbit that's probably like a 20th of his size. Why not a kunai at that point?
well, interestingly, in the Boruto anime, Kakashi, whenever he's doing the bell test with Boruto's team or Boruto's class, when Boruto grabs the bell, Kakashi substitutes himself for a log and the bell for a leaf. So it's like I don't know. Like I don't know what the limitations are to substitution jutsu. All I know is you have to have precise timing and switch with something.
Well, but let's take it the other way around. How big can it go? When Naruto's fighting Gaara and he's about to do the headbutt, instead of headbutting, if he just substitutes himself with Gamma Bunta, does he just do the bring down the house jutsu?
Maybe.
Yeah. Is that what that jutsu is?
Like maybe it had, well, we know it can be used for living organisms like a rabbit, so it's not just inorganic material. But maybe like how complex of a thing you're trying to replace yourself with is directly reflected in the chakra cost. So like that's probably why people just do like logs most of the time because it's simple, um, and like not a large object to transport. So I think like the size and complexity of the object probably contributes to that, especially if it's space-time ninjutsu, because we know like Minato's flying Raijin when teleporting larger objects requires a greater amount of chakra. So I don't think that would be unreasonable to say.
Real quick, or look at the data book. It says with this technique, one replaces their own body with a block of wood or something the moment an attack lands. So assuming the precise timing is you have to activate the jutsu exactly when the attack lands, even though that doesn't seem to be consistently the case.
Which gives everyone, by the way, everyone has the same reaction speed as Minato and Obito.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also ridiculous. But like what I was going to say is the Sharingan users should be like spamming this because they have the biggest advantage of the whole wide world on this technique then.
Yeah.
But yeah, so getting Sakura has a Minato level reaction timing, really?
Well, it would be based on like the speed of the attack, I would suppose.
Well, it has to be the correct moment. Like even if you're moving slow, if anything, it's almost harder. Sometimes it's harder. I play baseball to hit a slow baseball pitch. If you're used to quick attacks, it's almost harder to hit the slow one.
Yeah, but I would also say though that like it depends on what we mean by moment, because if it means like literally to the picosecond, like as soon as the like electron field from the whatever's attacking you makes contact with the electron field of your cells, then okay, that's one thing. But if it's like a time frame of like when the attack is close to landing to when it actually makes contact, and then like maybe even slightly after that, like based on the data thing, we know he takes at least a little bit of damage from being hit before his substitution activates. So there has to be some sort of wiggle room in there. So like moment is probably a short time, but not like a hyper particular time, if I had to guess.
I mean, I don't even know how Deidara didn't, since he clearly didn't prepare in advance. He was surprised that Naruto hit him. Naruto grabbed his arms and legs and just slammed him on the ground. He had no time to do it in between that, but like, how did he do it?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that with substitution, it kind of just has to be like low end space time. It feels weird, but it doesn't feel as weird as saying you have to be like several perception blitz tiers above your opponent to use it.
Well, because like
hold on. I got more things that make no sense about Deidara's substitution jutsu here. So if you have to specifically, usually like a block of wood, you take a block of wood from the environment or a bunny or whatever. Let's analyze Deidara's substitutions. So he uses clay, make his bombs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the clay come from? Because we know that Naruto's like holding the bird with Gaara. And Naruto doesn't notice, oh no, there's a Deidara-sized hole missing in the bird. Deidara's pockets definitely don't have a whole body's worth of clay in them.
Well, Deidara's noting that he's very low on clay anyways. He went to the Kage Meshu low on clay.
Where did he get the clay to do this?
The real answer
without Naruto just noticing.
The real answer is Kishimoto didn't flesh it out very well, and he just expects us to suspend our disbelief.
Which, to be fair, we absolutely did.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, Acolyte, you were gonna say something, bro?
Oh, just that I don't think it's a space-time ninjutsu. I'm pretty sure none of the data books put the mention of the space-time ninjutsu like they do in the corner of like other jutsus, and there's a special thing about it.
Yeah, and, I go ahead. Sorry.
I also essentially agree it's used for plot convenience, where there's like no way someone should have been able to prepare this beforehand, but apparently they did because they got a log from somewhere. Like even if it's a teleportation jutsu where you're switching with something, still, where did that log come from?
Yeah,
it is just used the same way as a clone. For example, like Kakashi versus Zabuza with the water clone. It's like used the same kind of way.
I would say it's more reasonable, in my opinion, to say that like Kishimoto didn't flesh it out, and therefore, and never calls it space-time ninjutsu, and therefore it doesn't have the assigned property of space-time ninjutsu in the data books, than it is to say like, because the alternate to that, if it's not actually like swapping places with something in a space-time fashion, would be anybody who's ever used substitution has waited until the exact moment of the attack, perception blitz times a million, the opponent, run, grab, log, perception blitz times a million again, come back, place log where they were at, and then perception blitz times a million again and get out of the way. And with like Sakura versus the Sound Shinobi, that makes no sense at all. But then even like just in general, it would make no sense because if you're capable of perception blitzing your opponent like that and performing movements like reaching down or like up or whatever to grab a log and then performing the movement of placing the log, then you should be able to perform the movement of stabbing them with a kunai. So
Yeah, it's like, why would you ever use it in this way instead?
Where's the
You're
tunnel
just
vision on this technique?
massively- Yeah, if you're just like massively above your opponent like that, you could just perception blitz them and like cut their head off. Like there's no reason to ever use it the way it's used unless it's space-time ninjutsu. So because that's something Acolyte, when I was doing research for the video, I was like looking to see if it was classified that way, and it's not. But it's like it's just far more reasonable to me to assume that it wasn't marked that way because it's never stated to be that because Kishimoto never fleshed it out properly. But it's more reasonable to say that than to say like everyone who's ever used it is perception blitzing their opponent 3 times. You know,
I think we're just being overly literal in the moment before they get attacked is the point when they switch out. If we are less literal with that, where the essence of the substitution technique, also known as the body replacement technique, which is the actual name of it that actually translates to the substitution technique, is an English anime thing.
yeah. Well, the problem with
Okay,
like go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish this thought.
yeah. So the essence of the technique is misdirection. So they're hitting something that they think is something else. That's the essence of the technique. So when a kunai is thrown at something, the reason why it's a log most of the time is because it's giving the person the perception that they hit something solid. Because if it's just a normal clone, it will just pop and it will obviously be not like a solid hit. Like somehow they're sensing that it's a solid hit. That's like a thing in martial arts, anime and shit, where they can sense if it's an actual hit or just a graze or whatever.
Yeah.
So what happens is they're not there that whole time, and when they hit that clone, basically, it's revealed to be a log. So it's either a transformation technique or a clone technique being applied to log.
The problem with that though is that we see multiple examples where that just kind of can't be the case. Like for example, in the Pain and Jiraiya fight, he just has Pain wrapped up. He's been engaging with Pain the whole time. That path of Pain has been there the whole time. And like they're having this conversation, just looking at each other, and then he grabs him with his hair, and then he substitutes out. So unless it was prepped in advance, then that wouldn't be possible. But then there are so many
At any
different...
point before he grabs him, he could have prepped it. Like used a body flicker to perception, but it's out of the way, or the whole time when he was talking could be talking to a clone who's just transformed from a log.
So, but the problem with that is he would have to perception blitz him during that conversation and replace himself at the same time with something else, because that they never break contact with one another.
No, I think that's fine, because I think it's reasonable to say that Ninja would even go into combat in the first place as the substitution jutsu rather than their real body.
So then you go into the Sakura example, and we know she didn't do that. So
well, I'm not saying
like
it's being
there's
consistent,
plenty of
I'm
other
saying...
examples.
Yeah. So it's like we know Sakura didn't enter that battle with like 3 shadow clones,
but obviously
or
she
like
wasn't
logs
prepared to.
posing with transformation.
Yeah, so it would only apply for instances like that whenever it actually works out.
Yes, like some of the Kakashi ones. So Kakashi's the one where like any explanation realistically would work. When he's flexing on Team 7, yeah, Kakashi could perception blitz them, and obviously he's
Yeah,
not
for
just
sure.
going to kill them. Kakashi also could have been prepared. He's doing the bell test, and so on. But a lot of the other. First of all, why would Sakura doing hand signs help her perception blitz Saku? No offense, I get
Right.
use hand signs for jutsu, but people don't use hand signs for taijutsu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of my thing is like the Sakura thing just doesn't work with having a pre-planned transformation jutsu in place, especially because we actually see in the manga when she gets the idea for it. Like we see that actively. So it's like we know that it just can't be the case, or it's at least highly unlikely to be the case that it's like transformation jutsu that she's using or clone jutsu, um, because of just like how that fight plays out. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of has to be space time ninjutsu. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. I mean, you could just say like it's just a plot device, but then when we're analyzing the series, it's kind of on us to like make it make sense. And the way that it
But
makes
then I
most
also,
sense is
okay,
in
real
space
quick,
time.
whereas I kind of I generally agree with what you're saying, but now I'm going to add some major questions to the space time idea. So there's going to be a couple of exceptions, but let's start with the quote unquote basic space time jutsu that aren't that basic. So flying Raishin and summoning jutsu. These jutsus require either contracts or some sort of sealing inscription thing. So Tenta with her weapons, it has the marks that she summons. Technically, the summoning jutsu makes the marks on the ground when you do it. Flying Raishin has the markings. Ameno Tejikara is a renegade ability, as well as all the Otsutsuki teleportation.
Yeah.
Boruto's knockoff flying Raishin, he specifically marks his weapons with his chakra to sense where to teleport and so on. How are these Genin just doing space-time jutsu willy-nilly on random logs in the environment? That's beyond Minato's flying Raishin level of skill to do.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing is like you sort of have to, for this particular ability, really suspend your disbelief because like you could say that maybe much like Sasuke has those like markings on his wrists where he can like summon his like shuriken from, and we know that like you said, 1010 can summon weapons and stuff. Maybe it's like a super low level like reverse summoning of some kind. Um,
But if they can
but
just do this, what
it's
makes
just weird.
Minato so special? The yellow flash who has the run on sight order because of the flying Raijin? The jutsu that Genma can't perform because it takes too much chakra for him to do it even once, that Minato's spamming as opposed to using the substitution jutsu to do the same thing.
So the FDG wouldn't require precise timing, would be one advantage. Another possible advantage, if we assume that like the thing has to be like marked or like you have to have come in contact with it or something, maybe it can only be viable for a certain amount of time, or you can only have a certain amount of things marked. Versus like the FTG, you can have an unlimited amount of things marked, and then they last forever. So if we assume that like it works in the same way that like the shuriken summoning thing works, um, or like if it works like a reverse summoning, I should say, then it might just be the case that you can only have so many things that you can do that with at a time, and then it might not like you might not be able to use it forever.
Another
I mean,
question though is,
I don't think that's the case. I think it's probably more so just like Amino Teiji Light. But if that were the case, that would be a relatively viable explanation.
If I'm
Do you
not
think-
getting this wrong, was it the Forest of Death Sakura fight you're talking about?
Yeah, against the Sound Shinobi.
Yeah, I'm like, wait, did she fight
It's when she's
another
fighting
guy?
Saku. Yeah.
The person's stronger than her.
So my question though is, okay, assuming it's space-time jutsu for a moment, do you think that you have a couple of options? 3 options really. So obviously, the log goes where you were in this case, but where do you go? Option 1, you go where the log previously was. So it's literally a metal Tejigara. You swap the spots. Option 2, you get to pick wherever you want to just appear. Option 3, you don't know where you're gonna be. It's a guessing game. It's just up in the air where you're gonna show up.
Somewhere in the
What do you
environment.
think it is?
It's probably that you're just like Amino Teijikara Light. You're just being replaced with the object and swapping
Okay.
places. 'Cause, like the way it's described in the manga and the data book is as swapping places. So, and then like even like with the like visual description that we get when Sasuke's talking about it, it like shows Kakashi literally swap places with the log. So yeah,
Okay, so-
I think that's probably what's going on.
Oodie, can you stop sharing your screen for a second?
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute up for just 1 second, but I can hear you guys.
Okay. So I'm here to explain once again why Gaara's substitution jutsu makes no sense. So Lee uses the primary lotus, he kicks Gaara in the air, the sand follows Gaara in the air, as you see. Gaara does the substitution jutsu at some point here. So assuming he's substituted, Gaara, if he's substituting with the sand, which he does, he would have to be like, this is actually Gaara, or that's actually Gaara. So they crash, the sand's over there, Rock Lee jumps over here. So the hypothetical true Gaara is either here or here, because there's no sand around Lee. But guess where Gaara appears? Right behind Lee, where there was no sand. How did he do that? Where did Gaara go? Like, he just poofed into thin air. He just grew out of the ground.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say that one is also another good example of it, like it not being like pre-prepped transformation, because Kakashi specifically says that he replaced himself at the moment when Guy closed his eyes.
But exactly. So
Yeah.
then it doesn't require perfect timing. You can do it whenever.
Yeah, he did it as soon as Lee just wasn't looking. But that implies that, like, Lee would have noticed if he did it. But, like, in all the other cases, they just don't know when you do it. Other than Zaku. Zaku only knew Sakura was doing it because he recognized the specific hand signs
Yeah.
that Gaara didn't do here. Because
Like,
unless
it's not
Gaara made the hand
extra,
signs really quickly while Lee was blinking, but...
It doesn't
No,
need
he probably
hand
doesn't have
signs
to use
all the
hand.
time.
Like, yeah, he's probably just more
Weird.
more proficient with it.
But then sometimes it has like the substitution jutsu has like a poof of smoke, which is similar to space time, also similar to the Shadow Clone, so either way for that. But then sometimes it just doesn't, like the Datara example. So is it
Yeah.
space time if it doesn't have the poof? Like we never get a summoning jutsu that doesn't have a poof.
Yeah, well, I think it depends on what's being substituted as well, I guess, because like Gaara's like sand clone doesn't poof either. It just like disintegrates into sand. But yeah.
But actually no, because Gaara isn't substituting with anything in its environment. He's substituting with the sand shield around his body, and that sand shield stays where it is. He's just moving his body out of the sand shield.
So he probably just replaced his body on the inside with sand from the outside. And left the sand shell there.
But what sand did he swap with?
Well,
Because
also, no, he didn't, because we
it's
see
over
that it's
here.
hollow. We see it's hollow right there.
Well, no, yeah, that's true.
So it's just weird.
Some amounts of
I
sand.
like the idea that the
Maybe it's all-
inside
maybe
of the
it's all
shell
the
is
feet,
what
right?
Gaara swapped, but then yeah, he didn't put anything there. So.
Yeah, maybe all the extra sand he substituted with is in the feet, bro.
What the body, what the kanji comes from the body flicker technique, is what is used to describe when a cicada leaves its body, leaving a fake hollow body. So that's actually the most accurate version of the body transfer technique, the body replacement technique.
So
I
real
love
quick, do you think Datara's clay was just in this bush when he did this originally before he swapped? Was the clay just in that bush?
No.
Dude, that's what's weird, because it's like the way it's described kind of necessitates that they literally just like swap places with the thing. But it would be so weird for him to have just had like a mass of clay just laying underneath that
This
bush.
specific, like, you know,
It just makes sense
this
for him to
thing
pull
of
it out of
clay.
his arms or his pockets or whatever, reform it into a body, and then leave. Like that's the.
But then he would be.
Yeah.
But that's the problem though, because then if you carry that over to the other examples, it just doesn't work.
I would agree. Sometimes it does not work. In the same sense of where did they get this log? It does not work with the teleportation. Where
Real quick.
both things are just where did they get this log is the.
It really just depends though, because like the pain example is the only one I can think of where it's like there's a log that gets subbed and we don't know where it came from. But if you assume that like there's just a stockpile of logs, or like maybe there was a log in like the water somewhere, like I don't know. But actually,
Okay, if
I
you're just
also do
assuming
think
where the log is, could we not just assume the log is in like one of those paper bomb holding things where they can pull shit out of the paper bomb symbols as storage, like 1010
yeah
uses
yeah
it
like
to kunai and
like
stuff like that?
how 1010 stores her like weapons and like a summoning. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
But then, so then it would be the case then that like they're only swapping themselves with that thing. They're not necessarily swapping. Well, they're replacing their body with that thing, but they're not necessarily replacing that thing with their body. So you probably can just like end up basically anywhere in the surrounding environment, which is low key better than amino stage.
Exactly.
Well, it's still based off of how fast you could move, though. Then.
Well, but
Also-
it wouldn't be based on how fast you can move because then like that's the only one. That's the only explanation that we have that isn't congruent with every example we have. Because like the space time ninjutsu example works with every single or space time ninjutsu explanation rather works with every example that we have of substitution. But
Excellent, love that.
physically moving out of the way doesn't work with some of them.
Well, speaking of all this, so Dan in the stage chat specifically, not the regular Discord text chat, but the stage chat heavily disagrees with substitution being space-time. So Dan specifically, you're saying they used illusion to put the object in place of themselves. That is how Sasuke initially describes it, twist in the bell test, so I agree with why you're saying that. However, my question to you is gonna be, how did Gara use illusion to do that in this situation? How did he do it? Go ahead.
I can
I
pull the screen
believe-
back up.
But then also, why didn't Gara do this versus Datara in that sphere? Just teleport himself outside the sphere.
Well, I would also just
that
quickly
makes
argue that because it's listed as a ninjutsu and not a genjutsu, it's probably not an illusion. Like in the because like illusion.
Well, to be fair,
is
the regular
translated to
Jutsu is literally illusions. Like they're illusion clones, but it's a ninjutsu.
The ice,
So
the ice
their
spear that
illusion.
Kaku uses is also described as illusion, but it's not literally a genjutsu.
So it's an illusion in the sense that it's that the clones aren't like physically solid; they just appear to be. But it's not like an illusion in the sense of like a genjutsu. So I guess I guess it depends on what you mean by illusion, because like even with what I'm saying, it would be an illusion. Yeah, you would have the illusion of tagging the person.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be like like you're casting an illusion on that person like a genjutsu. Which I could be wrong, but like that's what I thought was being.
I think he meant like magician sleight of hand, but go ahead, take it away, Dan. Dan,
The floor is yours.
the stage is yours. Well, while Dan's thinking,
Okay,
By the way,
which
Sasuke's description says that you can swap places with one of the plants, animals, or people in the landscape.
what are you looking at?
I'm in on the manga. It's chapter 5, I think.
Okay.
But
Out of
Sasuke's
curiosity, I'm gonna
description,
see
he
if this
says-
jutsu is ever repeated in other data books or not.
No, it's only got one file, unfortunately.
Oh my god! Of course, great.
Ridiculous. By the way, Kamui, if you want to go back to the data one really quick. slightly different topic, but topic we already covered. So, are we just gonna ignore the fact that Datara's Clay, which
It's not that, yeah.
practically tanked a QB amped Rasengan and it barely didn't? Are we just gonna ignore how powerful Datara's Clay is?
Oh, we told you it's strong. Yeah, actually, okay, Sage.
Yeah.
Try to prove it's not stronger than
Rasengan.
Chidori now. We know Abs with Rasengan stronger than Chidori on the water tag. His giant QB at Rasengan's not able to fully penetrate the clay.
It blasted a gaping, boring hole the size of like a football field into that thing. Not really. Compared to us.
More damage done to the ground than the clay, bro. That's what's crazy.
Yeah, so this clay is stronger than Earth.
Stronger than metal.
Dan, are you back?
What's up, Dan?
Oh, there we go. I saw you were definitely for a second.
All right, Dan. Tell us how substitution works.
It's very simple.
No joke. It's no joke.
So, Dan, where did we go wrong?
Dan.
Can't hear you.
I think Dan's getting Wi-Fi BFR right now.
Okay. So wait, Sage, which instances of body replacement techniques don't work with them being already somewhere else?
The Sakura's.
Sakura's. Okay. And that's the
It's a force of death.
Force of Death, the chapter 54 one.
I think so. It should be around there.
Yeah, she does the body replacement symbols. The guy recognizes those scans, and by the time the lady pushes into her, it would require her to be somewhere else and have replaced the log.
So they're all looking at her, right? She weaves the hand signs. The lady runs at her. None of them notice her running out of the way, so she's perception blitzing all of them. Twice. 3 times actually. She would be running off panel, grabbing a log, running back, placing the log, and then running away.
No,
again.
if she already has the log.
Okay, so then what about the second one?
Second one?
Because she does it again. So the substitution takes place. Then she attacks him again. She throws kunai. Zaku blocks it with his sound jutsu. She weaves the hand signs again. Substitution.
Where it said, poor foolish girl, just one trick pony?
Yes.
So when she does the hand signs, she blitzes away, just like a body flicker away, relieving a clone that's a clone that's just a transformation of the log into a log.
So she would be double perception blitzing there. She would be perception blitzing off screen with her main body, perception blitzing on screen with a clone in the exact position. So we think Sakura is a perception blitz tier above these guys.
Well, what I'm saying is she's pulling a log out of her back pocket, basically, turning it into a clone at the same time using a body figure to get away.
Okay, so we think that these people who've been able to track her the whole time are unable, and they can see her hand signs she's weaving, are unable to see her after weaving the hand signs, reach into her pocket, grab a log, place it there, and then body flicker away.
If after the signs, that's the point when she's able to move faster because she's now channeling chakra and enhancing her body, then yeah.
So then why not just perception blitz them and attack them?
That could be the case, but in this case, the blades are coming right at her, so she can't blitz forward.
Well, the first time would be applicable as well, but at any point in time, not just here. If she's capable of just body flicker perception blitzing them, why not body flicker perception blitz behind them and stab
them? Basically because she's fighting multiple opponents, and same reason why the what was it called? Valkyrie is a bad move to use. Directly trying to hit your opponent head on in
Well,
a
that's why
way
I
that
said
moves
body
faster
flicker
than you
behind
can
them.
usually move isn't good.
Yeah,
Basically.
that's why I said body flicker behind them and then stab them.
So moving basically straight at them, but to a point slightly behind them.
Well, no. So if what you're saying is the case, that the first time, right, that she weaves the hand signs with her back to the chick, she then, after weaving the hand signs, perception blitzes her, reaching into her pocket, grabbing a log, puts the log there. Perception blitz, activate transformation jutsu. No puff of smoke, by the way. Perception blitz, run off panel, just for her to tag the transformation jutsu log. Why not then like use the same speed to run off panel behind her, and then run back into panel behind her after she hits the transformation jutsu log, and tag her whenever she's surprised.
Like, why could the speed only be used for like log replacements and not be applied in any other way?
I'll also
Yeah, because
note
if she's triple
Is that
perception
just
blitzing
how
her,
the
like,
enhanced
she would
movement
literally
with body flicker works?
well, so she would be perception blitzing her with the log grab. She wouldn't notice the log grab. She'd then be perception blitzing her with the transformation jutsu activation. When transformation jutsu is activated, we typically see a puff of smoke. We don't see that. So that makes that weird already. But then she perception blitzes her again by running off panel to grab another log, right?
Okay, for
So
that smoke,
so if
you
she
usually also see smoke with
well,
teleportation jutsu.
not all the time. You don't see it with FTG.
So,
But
so if
if
this
she
is just transformation jutsu, then it can also be the case. It's just not all the time we see smoke with transformation jutsu.
I don't think we
Can you
ever see a
go to any
transformation not do the
examples?
smoke, but for body
Yeah,
flicker,
exactly.
we do see other things. Like one time, Orochimaru just turns to purple chakra. Sasuke, Kabuto, and Orochimaru just turn to flames. and
Yeah.
like,
When Naruto changes himself into a Shadow Shuriken, do we see smoke come off of that?
So we don't see when he does it because he's covered up by all the clones.
I think in the flashback of the scene we do see it, but it might just be shown off screen too. I don't remember there.
Yeah, well, in his demonstration of it, like whenever he's talking to the audience explaining how he did it, we do see that, but like it happens in the chaos of the clones, so we can't say one way or another. But I doubt that there's an example in the series where we see the transformation jutsu occur and we don't see a puff of smoke.
Yeah,
But
because especially with that
even beyond that,
jutsu, it would just be
yeah, go ahead.
really weird visually. Like you have to imagine like it just like morphing into
Yeah.
like the person in a weird way. Like
Well,
Illumi and Hunter x Hunter, like when he turns into Gitoraka, you know, like when he's got like
Yeah.
like you'd have to imagine like their bodies morphing into that if there's no puff of smoke.
Yeah. Well, even beyond that, she would be perception blitzing her with the log grab, perception blitzing her with the transformation activation. We then have to assume for some reason the transformation jutsu doesn't have the puff of smoke it always does. She then would be perception blitzing her again to run off screen. And instead of running off screen in a direction that's behind her, and then being able to then like run at that same speed up like to her back and stab her in the back with a kunai whenever she's like off guard, she just chooses to run back on screen and engage them again and do the same thing. So it's
Or
like
also,
not
like Axel Boost pointed, instead of she could have just used this speed to just like escape with her teammates
Just leave.
away.
Just go
from them.
literally anywhere.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. Especially because like that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to protect them.
And
So,
before anyone
yeah.
says, "Oh, she can't carry two people,"
Are you saying she could have just
BS, 'cause she
spammed
literally had a
body
giant
flicker to
log.
do all this?
she is trying to protect them, but
So,
at this moment, this is after cutting her
Acolyte.
hair, so she does want to prove that she can stand up like Naruto and Sasuke and fight these guys.
Yeah, but Acolyte, you're saying she uses it at least twice here.
To grab the okay, I'm saying she grabs it at high speed. You can say that's the buff from like a body flicker. She grabs the whatever she's using to store the log, appears the
Out of her
log.
pocket or whatever.
Yeah.
How's
Yeah.
the
Yep,
log
so she
fitting in her
grabs that-
pocket?
and then-
so,
She
well,
just
so
have
more
that comforted?
precisely, Acolyte,
So ceiling
she
jutsu?
perception blitzes her in grabbing the log. She then perception blitzes her in activating transformation jutsu. We then don't get the puff of smoke we usually get from transformation jutsu. But then she perception blitzes her again with her physical movement running off panel. So then if she can perform that kind of run off panel to get out of the way, why can't she just do that same run back in panel and end up behind that chick while she's off guard and stab her in the neck?
I, I think she could if she had high enough efficiency with the body flicker. Like she does like a body flicker enhancement of her body to do the transformation technique where she does all that, and then she runs out of panel with body flicker.
Mhm.
But that requires her again to have more control over body flicker and more expertise in using it in battle to hop back into the battle and stab it behind her.
Well, so but then you're saying that she does it at least one more time though, at least the body flicker to run back in frame, because she uses it twice, and then the third time she pretends to use it, but she doesn't actually use it. So she would have
Like,
had
mean
to
the
have used
second use of the body
the
replacement
substitution.
technique?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. What? Like for the first
she would have
instance
had to
of
have body flickered back in frame again.
okay, for the first body transformation technique,
Mhm.
all that's required is for her to do the transformation technique, body flicker off panel. I mean, she's off panel, she's out of sight of what they can see, so she no longer needs to worry about their perception speed as she runs at them. And then we can see he looks to the left, sees her running at him, and then when she uses it again, the blades are coming right at her, and she can body flicker to the side or whatever. But then she'd have to use body flicker again to then speed in to attack her, which would require a level of
Well, no, but before
expertise
she
in
runs,
body flicker.
so after the first body flicker, right? Not even accounting for the fact that your interpretation requires, again, she perception blitzes with the log grab, she perception blitzes with the transformation jutsu, and there's no puff of smoke like there usually is. So we're already like kind of in pretty deep water here with that. But then she
Like
perception
performing like
blitzes
a
them with.
specific action really fast, I think is
Say that again?
completely reasonable. Like if she's trying to like type an essay, body flickering her finger movements, I think that would be crazy. But just grabbing something and applying a
Mhm.
technique, I don't think that's
Well, it's not
an
just one
insane use
thing.
of body
It's
flicker.
it's it's three separate things. It's perception blitz, the log reach, perception blitz, the jutsu activation for the transformation, which for her requires a hand sign, at least one. So she's perception blitzing with another hand sign, and then the transformation takes place without the puff of smoke again, and then she body flickers off screen, and then you said that she's no longer in their sight, so she doesn't have to like worry about perception blitzing them again. But then she runs back into frame, and
A normal
then
run, yeah, we see a normal
and then
running into the
right, she
frame.
runs back into frame and then performs the same exact thing. So another body flicker. So why not, instead of running back in frame at normal speed, just run back in frame with body flicker, end up behind that chick and stab her in the neck?
Because that would require her to have even higher level of body flicker expertise. Where
Why? If
we
she's
see
already
when
using
it's
it
coming
again.
at her, it's like, oh shit, and then she tries to body flicker. Wait, like it's a thing she's
No,
using to
no.
get.
No, so if she's already using body flicker again, so she uses it once, she's off screen, instead of running back in frame like she did before, like on panel, right? She runs back in at normal speed. Instead of doing that, why not just use another body flicker?
I
Why not?
I
Why
don't
would
know,
that
Always
require?
be
Why
using
would that
it.
require more body flicker expertise than the first one did?
spamming it in a row. Like
She literally does it right after that, Acolyte.
no, like okay, like no cooldown, instant
Well, how much of a
body
cooldown
flicker. Is
does
that what
she
you're
need?
talking about?
It doesn't have to be instant. She could have just hid behind a tree until she could do it again.
How much of a cooldown does she need, though?
Yeah, it's like if we assume that there's a cooldown, it's very short. It's between the first body flicker and the second one. She uses it twice according to your interpretation. So if she's already using it twice, then why not just use the second body flicker to blitz one of them from behind and stab them through the neck?
Okay, well, it's getting to the point of doing the whole battle differently, to just thinking how could this battle be different with better knowledge of the battle than what the authors are putting in.
Well-
Like you could say the same thing
no,
for
no,
the teleportation.
What-
Like
well,
you
no,
could do
it's
the
so
teleport away with the body replacement technique. Throw a rock that direction and switch places with that rock. Like this.
well, no, so that's the thing. It's difficult because it requires precise timing. So like that's
And-
according to data books, anyways. So it
And I would
requires
argue
that.
that. Sorry,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
Well,
No, it
I
should
was
be taking this long to, like, it should require this much of a change because it's stupid and it undermines a lot of the moments in the series that rely on this jutsu, which is used
Yeah.
a lot. Like, it should be
because
getting to that point because it's stupid.
generally whenever we see people who can just like massively outspeed their opponents, they use that to take down their opponents, like to attack them. So this would be a gigantic outlier if, especially because she's trying to protect Naruto and Sasuke. Um, if she knows that like if these guys get to him, that they're gonna take Sasuke back to Orochimaru. So why would she not, if she's already going to use another body flicker anyways? And we know consistently characters in Naruto who have a giant speed advantage over their opponents use that speed advantage to take them down. Why would she not just use that speed advantage to take one of them down after running off screen the first time?
We also just know that some characters,
like-
at least like the ones who are
Okay,
good
the
at this,
body
just
flicker, the
use
second
this
body flicker,
offensively.
is the log in the air? Because that's where she is the next time she uses the body flicker.
Well, I don't think so. We talked about this earlier. I don't think that they actually have to appear based on the data example. And then there was one other one
Gara.
that we talked about earlier. Yeah, Gara. I don't think that they have to like end up in the position that the thing that they're replacing themselves with was at. I think they just kind of end up in a spot in the
Yeah,
environment.
it seems like
So
they
she can
get the
teleport
pick
to a
because
random
Adara
location?
wanted to hide and Gara
Yeah.
wanted to go behind Lee.
So why didn't she teleport behind the dude and just kill him?
That's a great question. Like I
No,
don't
yeah, it's
know.
the same question you're asking me. It's just that
No.
it's not written that way.
There could be like a limitation to where exactly you could go, like how far you could go, or like how far from
So
the
that
object you
also
could go.
applies to the body flicker.
Well, no, it doesn't. So how far from the object you can teleport, right, is totally different from she's off screen. The girl she just used the substitution jutsu is off guard and surprised, and she doesn't just use the same thing she just used to run up behind her and stab her.
Could she not
Because,
have done
like-
that with the teleportation version of the ability?
That's what I just said. It depends. If you have to be a certain distance from the thing that you teleport that you're swapping with, then maybe not.
So it's only 5. Like what you're saying is, it doesn't have like a range of 5 meters. It's like you can only teleport to that 5 meters away.
So no. So it's okay. So if the log is like off to her right, 20 feet in her right direction, it could be possible that she can only teleport to like within a certain range of where that log was originally sitting. And also so the log, whenever she uses substitution jutsu,
Okay, so like if that
go
log
ahead.
is near that person because she's right above him in mid air, the radius to where that log was on the ground should also be close to him to the point where she could just stab him in the back.
Well, so that really depends because if the log she transported to was like behind where she was at and then she leaps into the air, that's totally different. If the log she transported to was above her and like so we know like there are these gigantic like roots to these massive trees sticking out of the ground. If it's a log that's like attached to one of those, which we can't really see in the environment. Take a look
Are you
at
saying
this.
it's an underground log?
No, No, outside of the ground, above or behind her.
So like above her would be like a branch or whatever.
Yeah. So it could have been like hanging off of a branch above her, or it could have been like behind her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just typed this, but like, what's stopping them from also using substitution? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean they know what substitution jutsu is. So if
Yeah, every
substitution
village has
jutsu is like
substitution. Like, it's
literally
not
just
a
body flicker
unique thing.
perception blitz, yeah, like
Yeah.
why
They
not? Just
they
do
do
that.
want to rely on their Orochimaru-y sound techniques, though, not only because of character reasons, but also because Kishimoto wants them to for unique
Yeah, we
reasons.
know it's a plot reason, but I'm just saying.
Also, because they just are good.
Well, but what I mean by
Yeah.
that is it's not just loyalty. They see Orochimaru, because they're Lodum, as someone to be extremely strong, and so if they're going to use Orochimaru's techniques, they
Okay, so,
consider
like-
themselves above something like using that. They're using the techniques of a god, so they want to rely on those techniques.
Okay,
Okay,
so like
well, if-
when a character uses teleportation and they come out of the teleportation, there's usually smoke around them, right?
Depends
No,
on
not
the
always.
jutsu.
But it depends on the jutsu. Like FTG almost never has smoke.
Almost? When does it ever have smoke? What?
It has smoke one
I think
time.
it had it like
might
one
not even
time when
be smoke.
Minato was
It might just be
running
dust.
from.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like dust when Minato landed that one time.
Yeah,
Like,
whenever
going-
Minato.
running
Oh,
away
well,
from
that's from
Minato.
back to
landing,
his
not
house.
from using the jutsu.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like whenever he teleports to his house.
Yeah.
That so you see like a
Okay,
puff
yeah.
of like what appears to be
We
smoke
also see a
around him,
puff
but-
of smoke when he stops Kakashi when he's using the Valkyrie for the first time.
Well, so
Say
that to be honest with you, so
That
that
could've just
could be FTG. It could also be body flicker. I'm of the opinion it's FTG, but the majority of the time, whenever he uses it, there's no puff of smoke. Like it never happens in the Obito fight. It never happens in the war. Like it's just not something that. And Toby Rama never has a puff of smoke whenever he uses FTG.
It's also
It's
possible
just-
that originally Kishimoto was gonna have the smoke, and that like Kakashi Guidance gonna be the first time we're seeing that jutsu used, and then
Yeah.
clearly he didn't want to use it in the war when it's actually
Right.
used. So
But yeah, space time ninjutsu, just like it doesn't always require smoke in that way. So it wouldn't be like a fair contention for it.
That's weird
like-
because
Okay, for explaining why she's in the air, we either have to completely speculate on how this different explanation of how the ability works would make this.
what do you mean by
situation
explaining
happen.
why Sakura's in the air? What are you referring to specifically?
Scroll down a little bit. Right there, she's in the air.
She jumped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but in my explanation, her jumping is doing the what's it called? Body flicker into the air. Like she didn't body flicker to the side or left. She just body flickered while jumping up into the air. But
Okay.
for the
or-
teleportation, she would
because
have to change her
you're-
place
you're-
with
I don't know
that.
how body flicker works.
your interpretation also requires that she perception blitzes all of them multiple times and never uses that in a combative sense, even whenever they can't see her. My explanation is either she's replacing herself with a log that's like behind her and then jumps into the air from that spot,
Yeah.
or she's replacing herself with like a branch that could be above her
Okay, so like
and doing that.
okay, so like that's like a couple meters or something like that for
Rudimentary technique.
Exactly.
For it
He's
to be
considering
behind
it
her,
that, then he's
it
not
still
going to
requires
use
like
it.
a couple meters, right?
I mean, I really don't know what the distance would be, but I would imagine that you probably have to trade places with you have to probably either legitimately swap your position with its position, which feels weird for some of the examples, even though it's not technically impossible. Or you have to be within a certain proximity of the thing you're switching with. Like where you land has to be a certain proximity from the thing. Like for example, we have examples of this with Space Time Ninjutsu where like Minato can land within a certain proximity of his marker. He doesn't always land exactly at the marker. He lands within a certain proximity of it.
I also want to add real quick about perception blitzing. So Saku had like literally no problem immediately finding Sakura this time, and then immediately finding her overhead.
Yeah, well,
If she's
it's
that
just a perception,
fast,
it's
why
not
is he
a-
able to find her
But
so
I wanted to comment
quickly?
on that, Kamui, because that makes no sense either way you look at it. So if
I
you scroll
know.
back up, so either he's visibly tracking her if she's just speed blitzing out of the way. So Keen is being speed blitzed, but Zaku isn't. She is being perceived by Zaku. That's one interpretation, but then that doesn't make sense because why wouldn't he see her just not do that the third time as he's looking around for her? And then the other way, if he's just predicting where she is, why is he able to do it the first 2 times, but not the third time?
Okay. It's just that he's looking for where she is. She speeds out of the way. She's now moving
But
normal
he
speed, so he can
knows
just look
where
around
she
and see where
is.
she is at.
He's confident in where she is the first 2 times. Why is he looking around the third time like, all right, where you gonna be this time?
Where do you get the he's confident where she is?
Because
the
he's
first
like,
2 times.
all right, you're over here. Okay, you're up here. He knows exactly
He said,
where she is.
obviously, you're overhead.
Exactly.
He's like predicting where she's going.
He thought it was obvious. Also, real quick, I want to say this, not important to this debate, but the anime does not do this. So much cooler in the manga. Sakura uses the kunai from one of the kunai that she was stabbed with
Oh, that's so
to
cool.
use on Zaku ear.
That's so cool.
She just
Okay,
rips it out of
can
her
I
body.
also
I'm pretty
add,
sure that was in the
Kamui,
anime too.
why-
I think it was.
Why is Zabuza a baby and he had to get out of the way of Naruto's kunai freeing Kakashi losing the fight, whereas Sakura just tanking like 4 of them? Keep in mind, Naruto's throw compared to Zabuza, and then Zaku's throw, someone stronger than Sakura compared to Sakura.
Well, to be fair, it could be that he didn't want his arm to get damaged too much to use his sword because that's his main way of fighting. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
It didn't affect
I think it's
Sakura here.
perfectly fine if he's
Well,
just
she doesn't
predicting
use
that
it.
third one.
Actually, by the way,
She
so
uses a heavy
after
sword
the,
that
after the
requires-
first substitution, she comes from above. If you look at like that panel right there, okay, so he's hit the back, now scroll down. Poof. Now you see her rushing. Then you see that shadow of the foot in the top left of that panel. That's where she lands and then runs forward.
Well, but that
Oh,
doesn't
So
make
you think
sense.
that's- okay.
No,
and then
I
running
agree,
forward.
but that
It
doesn't
could
make
just be
sense based on the
disagreeing. I
previous
thought that
panel.
was Keen jumping out of the way because he says Keen.
Yeah.
again.
It could be Keen. Yeah, it could be Keen.
Because
You
it
could be
doesn't
right.
make sense based on the previous panel, since Sakura's speed lines are clearly indicating forward movement. But then the next thing is she's landing.
Plus, Keen has like longer clothing things that could be hanging down versus Sakura's aren't that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good catch. That's a good catch. I was just looking at her shoes.
It's a problem is it's just so dark. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, regardless, like, I think it's far more reasonable to say this is like low end. It doesn't require as many like steps as well, but the low end space time ninjutsu than it is her perception blitzing them multiple times and never deciding to use it combatively.
And
I
also,
mean,
if she can
either
do
way,
that, why didn't
Zaku
she
makes
do it
more
when
sense.
Lee was still there helping her? Instead
Yeah.
of waiting until after he gets freaking soloed, or not soloed, but 3v1'd.
Do you see low-level people use body flicker in a combative way?
Yeah, but I'm saying if it's to be believed that you can use it to perception blitz like this, then why didn't she just do that when she had help instead of when she was by herself?
Yeah.
Yeah, because hypothetically, I mean, you could, again, this doesn't really work, I don't think, but you could argue hypothetically, this makes more sense if, like, Sakura's using this against Kakashi, that, like, it is a perception blitz, but Saku's just so good that he can track it. Like, you know, that's why he just knows
But
it's
he can't-
obvious
but he-
you're
He has an
overhead.
understanding
But
of
then
that.
why would he
But
be
then
saying,
he
like,
misses
this
her.
stuff? And why can't
Exactly.
Keen do it, even though Keen should
He's
be
not
relative
literally
to
tracking
Saku?
her. She's
Well, he
just
also
baseline perceiving, not perceiving, using cognition to understand where she's gonna be.
But he can only do
Yeah,
it the
so
first
the-
2 times.
the obviously part
Yeah,
I
it
think
has a
is
cooldown
like
just
in
like her
regards to her
substitution.
using yeah, I think the obviously part is in regards to her using substitution, and then he says you're overhead when he notices her, because then the next time, like, so he throws the kunai at her, they stick into her arms, and then he's looking around and says come out wherever. So
Okay. Real quick, Thomas,
if
throw
he
back up.
if he was able to like visibly track her when she was running, then like he would have probably known like, oh, she didn't move. See, I think that like it's probably not. She would have under Acolyte's interpretation, she would have to be perception blitzing them like
Well,
badly.
what I think Sakura's doing based off this is,
flicker.
I think Sakura just knows, okay, she's doing this, so then he's swiveling his head on the ground, like, all right, where are you gonna be real quick? And then he finds her quickly. But that could only work if Sakura's literal movement isn't fast enough to just blitz him. Otherwise, it wouldn't matter if he finds it where she is. So that means like when she's running on the ground, she's not that fast. That's why he can have time to do this.
Well,
but if she
also,
can blitz him, he wouldn't be able to have time to do this.
Well, and body flicker is also like a low rank technique. I think it's a D rank technique as well. And he calls this D rank technique rudimentary, right?
Yeah.
So and if body flicker is a part of substitution and he's aware that she has body flicker or that she has substitution, he should also be aware that she has body flicker capable of perception blitzing him. And he's like not worried in the slightest about that.
Yeah, because that's just not how body flicker is used.
Body flicker is used in combat.
Minato and Shizui and some people.
Can I also add?
Yeah, he's
that
notable for being able to use it that way.
It wouldn't. Well, and Acolyte, under your interpretation, it wouldn't have to be used in a straight up 1v1 fair, both looking at each other combat scenario. In your interpretation, she's already out of sight, off panel. They don't know where she's at. So under your interpretation, it wouldn't even have to be the case that she would have to make like a beeline attack where they would be able to see her attack coming or anything like that. She would be able to just body flicker behind one of them and then stab them without any of them knowing.
I mean, like the simple way to look at it is the logs aren't on this battlefield. She has to get a log from in the middle of the woods. If Sakura has the speed to run all the way over here, like 50 meters, and back before Keen or anyone else can notice,
she's not moving there.
Why would she be unable to run 25 meters this way?
Also,
all I'm saying is she's moving there. She's not moving there and back.
Yeah, Acolyte's position presumes that she already has like a tag on her that has a log. So she weaves the hand signs, she reaches in her back pocket, she pulls out the tag, she summons the log, she then transforms
Sakura doesn't
the
have the
log.
summoning jutsu at this point.
Right. So this is Acolyte, what Acolyte's interpretation would require. She, after summoning the log, activates the transformation jutsu and then runs off panel and completes all of these actions without them noticing. And then she doesn't use this speed to run up behind one of them and stab them in the neck.
It's 2 actions, and it's more than that.
Acolyte, it's not 2 actions.
How she does. Wait, let me.
Okay, so hold on. Let me clarify. Where do you think the log is at? Because you said earlier you think it's on like one of those paper tags.
Yeah, like just literally like pulling it out of your back pocket, or it's literally just an indicator of the substitution jutsu. Like,
so we know when she uses transformation, she weaves the hand sign. So these are all of the actions that would be required. Okay, you would have, and also most of the time in part 1, I think whenever people summon things from a tag, like 1010 for example, summons the like shuriken and stuff from her tags, from her scrolls, we see them weave a hand sign, like the ram hand sign. We see that whenever they activate paper bombs, they do that as well.
We also always see the paper.
Yeah, that's true. So more likely than not, your interpretation would require 1, reaching into her back pocket, and let's just for the sake of argument say reaching into her back pocket and then putting it in front of her as 1 action. 2, activating or summoning the log. 3, once the log is summoned, then doing the transformation jutsu on it. And then 4, running out of frame at perception blitz speeds. However, you can get it to 6 or 7 if you just say grab paper from back pocket 1, bring paper in front 2, weave hand sign for summoning 3. Let's just assume it's 1 hand sign. Weave hand sign for transformation 4. And then the summoning appears, right? Then weave hand sign for transformation. Then the transformation happens. Then blitz off panel. That's 7 movements. So at minimum you have 4. At maximum you have 7. So she's completing at least 4 movements faster than any of them can perceive. And some of those are combat applicable movements, like reaching into her back pocket and grabbing something, pulling it out in front of her, weaving a hand sign for summoning, then weaving an additional hand sign for transformation. Those are all combat applicable actions. Like none of those are none of those are less complicated. Or I'm sorry, yeah, none of those are more complicated than stabbing with a knife.
Okay, what I was gonna say is, I think this is 2 actions at best, and like you said, 7 if you get pedantic on like, okay, she does this, and then she does this, and then she does this with the
You're
how she
saying she
performs
activates
actual
3
substituting
jutsu.
her.
Yeah, how is it 2 actions if she activates 3 jutsu? Summoning, transformation, body flicker. That's at least 3 movements, but that doesn't even include grabbing the tag.
But do they need to like perform hand signs to
Yes.
extract something from one of the like tags?
Yes, 10-10 does.
I'm pretty sure when what's his name, Sasuke has that stuff. It does the same thing where he has it written on his the sides of his arms. Does he perform signs then?
So, do you think she's
I
closer
don't
to
remember
10-10
doing the hand
or
signs,
so
but
it might be anime only. Let me
yeah,
see.
because I think the seal is meant to skip the hand signs, especially when you consider Orochimaru's techniques
Let me
that
look at
Kabuto
this.
uses. Feels meant to like skip the hand sign.
While
I
you
don't
guys
know
are
for sure.
looking for that, can I just say you can't body flicker into the air? That's not how body flicker works. You can't move faster without moving higher up. Like you can't move faster to the same upwards position. Otherwise, you just be flying at that point. You can't control yourself in that way.
So her applying more force to the ground to launch her higher using body flicker to enhance the force she can apply with to increase her speed that wouldn't move her into the air.
She's not jumping that high.
Yeah, it's not that high, but the speed at which it's done, I'm saying. Like she's not going straight vertical in the air, just a
She can jump tree to tree like a mile jump distance. She can jump in the
but
air
it's
as
not
high
the
as
speed
she
of
can.
which is happening, I'm saying.
If she increases her speed, it's just going to increase her height. She cannot
Yeah,
increase
she
her
would
speed
go
without increasing her
farther
height.
because it's one jump.
She's not Might Guy kicking off the air. Just a jump.
But yeah, bare minimum you'd have grabbing the tag. Let's assume it doesn't require hands on. I'm gonna see if I can find this
It's the
chapter.
air
really quick.
resistance that slowed her down.
But let's assume it doesn't require hand signs. Whenever she uses transformation jutsu during the like in the academy, that does require a hand sign for her. Same thing with Naruto. Every time he uses the sexy jutsu requires hand signs. Um, so transformation jutsu would require one. So even if we're really generous and we say that she's able to like do something on par with Heavy Sasuke and summon this, or somebody who is like specifically suited their arsenal towards this like summoning of weapons. If we're super generous in that interpretation and we say that's the case, then there would be grabbing the seal. That's one. The Then the log would pop up. Then she would weave a hand sign for transformation. That's 2. And now keep in mind, the hand sign would be weaved, then the chakra would be
How many
activated.
hand signs is it for a body flicker alone?
Well, there aren't any hand signs required for body flicker. Sometimes
It's like a
people
one-handed thing, if you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about, like that one-handed
sometimes
thing.
people use the single hand ram sign. And it's like usually people who are like on a lower level do that. Like Sasuke, like gathers chakra before using body flicker against
In
Haku.
the Sakura versus Tenten fight, I'm pretty sure she uses a sign to activate.
When does Sakura fight
body
Ten?
Not 10-10. Who's her
Ino?
rival who's equally
Ino.
as relevant as she is?
Ino?
Yeah.
Ino, yeah, it's Ino when she fights
Equally
Ino.
as relevant as
She is-
crazy.
she
Yeah,
is-
not even. Yeah, you guys handle that.
Where
But no,
does she
actually, I'm
use
pretty sure
body
we even
flicker in
see
that?
she sweet do the one hand sign, but
I'm pretty sure she uses body flicker to blitz into her. Actually,
I just took that to mean that even if you're
she does
no, she doesn't.
amp her
She doesn't
speed
use
with
body
chakra,
flicker.
but
I
she
know what you're
doesn't use
talking
body
about.
flick.
Yeah, she didn't
Yeah,
use
I
body
don't think
flicker.
she uses body flicker.
She put chakra into her foot and used that to propel herself forward.
It's basically
With
the
greater
same
speed?
concept as Tsunade's punches, but it's for speed.
Yeah.
that is what body flicker is.
Well, that's not.
I mean,
that's
in
not-
your in concept, sure,
Yeah, and
but she wasn't using the body flicker jutsu.
It's a different flavor, same
Do
result.
they yell
sort
out
of.
body flicker jutsu when they do body flicker jutsu?
No.
No, but they have
Oh.
clear indications of, especially in the anime, what it looks like.
Yeah, they like flicker, kind of like when people do instant transmission in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Sakura.
body flicker's
doesn't-
drawn like
doesn't
teleportation.
use any-
What
Sakura
Sakura
doesn't
did
use, like, body
wasn't.
flicker. She
I
doesn't
think it
even-
was a body flicker.
Yeah, Sakura doesn't use like any kind of body flicker or anything like that against Ino. She doesn't weave hand signs or anything. She just used her normal speed.
Yeah.
Don't need.
It's chapter 73.
And also, if this is actually possible, then Ino would have just used that and then used her mind transfer on Sakura and won the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, because also
the
Acolyte,
biggest
you would be
weakness of
low
that
key
is that it
saying,
takes forever to get to the person.
yeah, you would also low key be saying that she would be amping her jutsu speed. Oh, I see what you're talking about here. The first punch she uses, she says, "I'll focus all my chakra within my feet, and then up go," and then she like runs at her and hits her with it. But yeah, that requires the ram hand sign. Actually, two hand signs. Requires the ram hand sign and then a slightly different one. So yeah, even that requires two hand signs. So if she's doing that's yeah, chapter 7. Yeah. If she's doing so for what you're saying, she would so well first of all, what do you think the hand signs are for the substitution?
Probably for what's it called? Doing the actual transformation and doing the changing one thing into another, and for preparing the what's it called? Body flicker away.
Well, but she's not changing one thing into another at that point yet because she doesn't have the thing that she's changing in hand.
And doesn't she also make clones at that part, or is that anime only? The part where she
Yeah,
dashes
in
the
no, yeah, against Ino, yeah,
They're
like
fake
the panel
clones.
right above that. Yeah, they're like just
Well,
regular.
yeah,
clones.
but I'm just saying that's another jutsu she also did.
I'll
Yeah.
add, this is the same hand sign that's used to essentially mold or gather an enormous amount of chakra, as we see
Yeah.
when Naruto uses
That's
this
what Naruto
hand
does.
sign to
That's okay.
prepare his chakra to summon like 2,000
This hand
clones
sign's
against
used for a
Gaara.
lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's specifically for like gathering chakra a lot of the time. Yeah,
Yeah, which
but-
isn't even a jutsu itself. It's just gathering chakra.
But Acolyte, your original interpretation was that she reaches in her back pocket, grabs the tag, summons the log, then transforms the log. Which, by the way, like that's kind of how it would have to work if she's applying a transformation jutsu to it, and then runs off screen. So we never see a delayed transformation when somebody weaves hand signs for it, and then also she wouldn't be able to, or at least every time we see transformation applied to something like that, it's something that person has in hand, or they're doing something like transforming themselves. And so if that log is like in another place waiting to be summoned, she's probably not able to perform the transformation jutsu on it. And also, if those are the hand signs for the transformation jutsu, why would they be recognized as the hand signs for the substitution, especially when the transformation jutsu requires a different hand sign than what we see there. Like chapter 54, where is that? Naruto just uses, I think, the like double ram hand sign for his. Let's take a look at these.
What chapter?
In any of his transformation jutsus,
Let's go to the Naruto versus Kiba fight.
Yeah.
you could even just go to the first time he uses the sexy jutsu. If we don't see it here, because I don't know if we see the transformation jutsu
Yeah,
activated
I
here.
think that they're all off screen for this
Yeah.
one.
I think he uses the sexy jutsu in like chapter 2 or
Are we
something.
allowed to show
He
this
used
on
it in
YouTube?
chapter 1 as well, but I don't think we get to see the hand sign for that one.
I
So
think we're allowed to show this on YouTube. Well, too late.
Oh.
I mean, there's
He's making
episodes
this
of
hand
Naruto Part
sign.
1 on
Yeah.
YouTube,
he's
so I
making the
think you're fine.
clone hand sign still when he does it actually. So
Yeah, because he's doing the harem jutsu. There's
Yeah.
whenever he
he
just
makes
does the
this hand
basic
sign.
one. Because whenever he's teaching Konohamaru how to do it, he has him use the hand sign. Might be chapter 3.
Yeah.
What about when he does it? Oh no, he doesn't ever get to do it when the time skip. Or when he does it with Jiraiya, maybe.
What hand sign does he do for reverse harem sexy? We're about
I
to
think
find
it's
out.
actually the same, but I don't remember.
No, it's
He's
just
using the
shadow
clone hand sign
Yeah,
again.
he's
But
using
that's
the
to do
clone
the
hand sign.
shadow
Yeah,
clones. We don't see the hand sign
for
what he uses.
the harem jutsu. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
so I want to
he's
see.
just so good with the
I
sexy
mean,
jutsu that he
you
doesn't
could
even
argue at
require
that
hand
point he doesn't
substitution.
even need
Right,
one
right.
at that point because
Yeah.
he's like god awful before he loses that power.
Maybe in this chapter. He made the regular hand sign.
The one hand ram hand sign. She doesn't make that in any of these.
54.
That hand sign's not a part of her.
What?
That's not what that is.
Sakura's doing other hand signs, like entirely. In some cases.
And
Like
she's doing
here, she's just
multiple.
doing other hand signs.
That's multiple there, yeah.
Yeah, but you can see the position that her hands switch into. Like she doesn't have a single like the single hand ram hand sign like what Naruto was using there.
It's also just not a thing. You can't just like do the hand signs of 3 different jutsu and then in that one jutsu do all 3 jutsu. It's just not how that works.
Yeah. We see that like specific hand signs are set for specific jutsu. We also never see a delayed transformation, which like if she's weaving the hand signs and the log isn't transformed. And by the way, it's in a totally different place. We never see a transformation jutsu activated on something that's in like a different place. But she
Okay, so like, is it like, are
Yeah.
you saying it's like as soon as someone does the hand side, the thing instantaneously happens, or it's just within a reasonable amount of time? Where if she's doing a perception bitch thing, it's gonna appear milliseconds later.
So yeah, so whenever you weave those hand signs, every time we see like the transformation jutsu or like really any jutsu that we ever see activated, when you weave the hand signs, the jutsu is activated in the moment after that.
Well, actually, that's interesting. Is there anywhere at all, even a freaking anime OVA or anything, where Sasuke does the hand signs for like the fire style fireball jutsu, and then like dodges out of the way of an attack and then performs the jutsu?
In the anime, we see him activate the fire style jutsu and take the deep breath, and then like move like a Naruto clone out of the way, I think, and then fire it. But the jutsu's already been activated. He just hasn't shot it out of his mouth yet.
Yeah, like how long can he wait though?
Yeah,
Great
does he
question.
like burn his insides if he holds it in?
Maybe.
He's already dead inside. He's fine.
He's just like holding his
But-
breath while running.
Yeah, so there are just like there are a ton of problems. Like there's really no issue with it being a space-time ninjutsu outside of it not being listed as a space-time ninjutsu.
Okay, so
but
like,
like
in your
but, like-
interpretation of a space-time ninjutsu, it would just become 10 times more useful. Where every character should carry a log, and just because they have a log, they can set it down right next to them, and then teleport like however many meters you think the range is, and then insta kill the person in front of them because they cover that distance before they could react.
Well, it just depends on like what the range is and everything. It also depends on how like that may also be one of the downsides of that technique as opposed to like other space-time ninjutsu. Like the FTG moves you into a subspace where you can reposition your body before you exit. That might not be the case here. You might not be able to actually like position yourself properly in order to pull something like that off. So also it's possible that nobody ever thought about doing something like that because nobody thought about doing the shadow clone training until Kakashi did. So it's like that's also a reasonable assumption. But there's no real problem mechanically with what we see in regards to it being a space-time ninjutsu outside of it just not being listed as one in data book 1. And with like the data books, they're generally pretty good, but Madara is not listed as a user of Izanagi. Neither is Obito, I think.
It
I
usually
know.
only lists a couple. One person that's
Obito
used,
and
right?
Danzo.
A lot of
No,
weird
no,
things like that.
Obito and Danzo both are, but Madara is not. And at that point, when Data Book 4 was written, we knew Madara had used it. And it doesn't even say like Obito, Danzo, etc. Like sometimes it says that for like the shadow clone technique. It lists like Naruto, Kakashi, etc. It doesn't even do that.
There's a lot of
Okay,
examples of that
It's
in the
saying
later data
it's
books.
just a not listing as a space-time ninjutsu, but doesn't it just also go against how it is actually explained within the series?
Nope, it's never explained as physically moving out of the way. In the anime, this is what people get tripped up on sometimes. In the anime,
Yeah.
they take so in I think it's chapter 5 is when Sasuke explains how it works. And they'll pull up the diagram. You'll see it never says anything about physically moving out of
It's
the
next
way or
chapter.
physically
I'm already
replacing the
looking at it.
log. It might be chapter 6. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry
Yeah,
about
that's me the next chapter.
that. Yes, you'll see Sasuke's explanation of it.
I'm
It
trying to
literally
count the
just shows
clones.
swapping places.
Just quickly replacing. That's
Yep.
where.
That's all it says. But in the anime, it shows Kakashi like grab the log, physically run over, replace himself with the log, and then run back. Like it shows that, so like people get tripped up on it. But
And I
obviously,
don't blame them for doing it the way
if
they did,
that's
though.
the
Because like
standard,
for the
could
anime,
you not
that's
just
the
say
way
every
to draw
movement
it.
in Naruto is a
Yeah.
teleportation because it doesn't physically show movement? We just have implied movement.
what are you talking in the anime?
No, in the manga, whenever anyone is seemingly moving, could we also just not say, because they're not saying they're physically moving, that it could just be a teleportation, even if there's implied movement.
There's not implied physical movement. There's implied movement with FTG. You move to the place of the marker. Are we going to assume that that's physical movement? Like so, I'm like for me, it's like the question that you asked was, is it being space-time ninjutsu not contradictory to how it's explained in the series? The answer is just no, because like this is the explanation in the series. Never
The
implies
only
anything
one.
about it having to be physical movement. Yeah, the only one. And then the data book profile on it doesn't say anything about it either. It just says the user replaces themselves quickly and like skillfully with an object in the environment. And there are like multiple different forms of this technique. So the interpretation that
Okay.
I'm giving for it being space-time ninjutsu contradicts nothing outside of the fact that it's not listed as a space-time ninjutsu, but we can rectify that by virtue of saying, like, the data books do make other mistakes like that. So it's not unusual for like a detail like that to be missed. Whereas the interpretation that you're giving would require that Sakura be able to like perception blitz somebody 4 times to complete one jutsu like that. And then not make the decision to use that perception blitz level of speed when they're off guard to run up behind one of them and stab them. Which I think would be far less congruent than just saying she's swapping places with the thing in her environment, and it's like a low level space time ninjutsu.
So, and when I pointed out that they could do the same thing with the teleportation jutsu, we can just say there's arbitrary limitation on the mechanics of how it would work to they can't move to the back of the mentality. There's a range at which they can teleport around the original location of that object.
Yeah, which I established a basis for by talking about the FTG. There's a range at which Minato can teleport to a marking. So that's consistent with other space-time ninjutsu. The summoning jutsu is the same way. The summoning it always comes to like where the marking is at. But they're obviously not like landing right on top of the summoner every time, but it's like near the marking. So like Minato will land either on an FTG marker or near an FTG marker, but it's not always like at the same exact spot or like same exact distance away from it. It's just in some proximity. So like there's basis for what I'm saying in the series.
In proximity, right? They're not like 5 feet away from the marker.
There's one where Tobirama teleports Minato and I think Naruto or Minato and Hiruzen during the war, and they're like a couple feet away from it. But yeah, it's relatively close proximity. But there is a basis for there being a distance from the thing you're teleporting to being sort of a requirement for it. And then there's also a basis in the series for people who have a giant speed advantage over their opponents who are fighting to protect people they care about, utilizing that speed advantage to blitz their opponent and take them down. So it's like the interpretation that I have is based on like things that we actually see consistently in the series.
Okay, is there also not a basis in the series for speed enhancing techniques like body flickers who have limitations on them?
I mean, yes, but none of the limitations that any of the other techniques that we see would apply in the way that you would need them to apply for your interpretation to work.
The not running in straight lines, not directly attacking because that's easy to
right. That doesn't apply here because as I said earlier, Sakura with the first body flicker blitz could run off screen behind Kin, and then with the second one could just body flicker to behind her and then attack her after she finishes her body flicker while Kin is still off guard. So the limitation in the high speed beeline movement thing doesn't work because that's in attacking somebody in a straight line when they can see you. Kin wouldn't be able to see her. Like that's my thing. Like
yeah, and but for like body flicker, how it's not used in combat, right?
It is used in limitations.
But like low level people, I mean.
Well, it's not used in combat in a particular way by low level people, but you're claiming that it's being used in combat in a particular way here. So if it's already being used in combat in a particular way here, according to your own interpretation, then it can also be used in a similar way And the similar way that I'm talking about is literally just using it to run up to arm's distance away from the opponent and then stab them afterwards. So you're already having it used in combat here. So you're already presupposing your position actually demands that body flicker be used in combat here. Just not in an attacking manner. But I'm not saying that she like, and I mean, maybe she could just hold her arm out in front of her and body flicker and just ram into him with the kunai. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying, which by the way, if she can complete all of those combat applicable actions at like breakneck speed, weaving multiple hand signs, performing transformation jutsu, all those things so fast that they can't see, like why would she not be able to just stab them at a similar speed?
What I'm trying to say with that is like when someone pulls a revolver, like the chain to like pull the revolver, they can do that one action very quickly, but it can't pull the trigger at that speed. But do you understand what I mean by that?
So the speed at which somebody grabs a revolver versus
Yeah, pulls
fires
it
it
out
is
of
different.
their what's the thing that holds the revolver?
The holster.
Yeah, the holster. Like people train for that specific action to make that as fast as possible. Oh, and that doesn't apply to other actions that they can do, like chopping onions or doing swinging a baseball bat. Whereas the specific action is able to perform, and then she can also move out of the way.
Well, but it's not just one action though. That's what we've already kind of
work because she's still using her feet to move from point A to B in both actions. So
yeah, well,
it's the same set of actions that she has to do.
Right. So not only that, because you're already saying she's using body flicker once. So if she's already using body flicker once, she can use it again. You actually are saying that she uses it twice in this encounter. So if she's already going to use it again regardless, why not use it to run up behind Kin and stab her? That's the first thing. The second thing is it's not just pulling a revolver and running away. It's pulling the revolver, firing the round, then firing another round, then running away, bare minimum. Because she's grabbing the tag, performing a summoning jutsu with the log, performing a transformation jutsu with the log, and then running away. By the way, transformation jutsu again requires at least one hand sign. So even if we assume that the summon doesn't require a hand sign and it just requires her to touch the tag, it's still grab, summon, hand sign, transform, run. All before they can see what's going on. She's that fast when amping her speed and can at least perform hand signs at that speed and can run away faster than they can see her. But in a scenario where they wouldn't be able to see her, she can't run up behind them and stab them?
Yeah, so like what I'm saying is it's not like when she performs these hand signs, she activates a what's it called? Body flicker technique, and then she has this time in a bottle moment where she's like a speedster, like the Flash, is able to run around. How we see body flicker move is in straight lines, and for the specific actions of her quickly needing to do that, she's amping her movements. So when she does perform the specific action, she can do that because she's practiced that action.
She's practiced what? Well, no, I'm saying she uses body flicker as she would use after weaving the hand signs, runs up behind them, stops, stab. She doesn't know how to stab a kunai at regular speed?
Okay, so when the first time she uses the substitution technique, she's almost like where we see her she's almost at the distance to where he's at. If she went laterally at him, like straight in the line, she might have been right on him. So that'd be the limitation of how fast she can move. And then for the second part, she only does the substitution jutsu again after she is going to be attacked by his air blast.
Okay. What Acolyte?
Like
You
throwing the extra actions of them right into each other, I would say takes a higher level of proficiency in the body flicker technique, where unless like if every character could spam body flicker, all the characters would be Susui of the body flicker.
Acolyte. I'm not saying that she has to spam body flicker. I'm saying she has to use it as many times as you say she uses it.
And the only difference I'm putting there is like she can't use it half a second later, which is
I'm not
she only
saying she has to. I'm not saying she has to use it a half a second later.
I'm saying she only has half a second to use it. Like she's running at this person, and he almost instantly knows she's there.
Well,
Like he turns his head. Like he says the substitution. He's like zigging when I zig. She's making a mockery of this, trying to deceive us with such a rudimentary technique, and then she prepares an attack with kunai. That's the very next thing we see.
Yeah.
She's running at him with kunai. For her to be able to blitz behind him, she would need to be able to do a body figure instantly again.
No, Acolyte. I feel like you understand what I'm saying, but maybe I'm just explaining it poorly. Whenever she runs off screen from the first one, so from Kin shoulder checks her in the back, right? She runs off screen. She could have ran off screen behind Kin.
Okay.
Then weave one hand sign.
In the interpretation, the only running she's doing is after she performs the substitution technique, blitzing into the straight line, and we see her almost reach about the same distance he is from her, but to the side of him.
Under your interpretation, the substitution jutsu that she uses on Kin, she would have to be running off screen there. She would have to get under your interpretation, she has the log prepared. She reaches in her back pocket. She then summons the log. She then transforms it, and then she runs off screen as Kin hits the replacement. She then runs back.
And the off screen is about like 10 feet to the left of him.
I'm not talking about the one with Zaku. I'm talking about 10 feet to the left of Zaku. Is that what you're saying?
The first time she uses the substitution technique.
How do you know she's 10 feet to the left of him?
I'm saying that's for the very next panel of her is her with the kunai, and we see her
running
right
back
there.
into the battlefield. Yeah.
Okay, so she blitzed off screen, and then she could be literally anywhere off screen. You're saying?
Yeah. Well, yes. So we see that she runs off screen. Let's look at where Zaku and Kin are positioned relative to one another. So Zaku is to Kin's left, to Sakura's left. Sakura gets hit, and then Sakura then re-engages from Kin's right. So she literally, or from Kin's left, Zaku's right. So she literally had to have used body flicker to run at least far enough to where she could have gotten behind that giant branch over there, that giant root. Unless you think she body flickered at Kin.
I'd say towards his direction, like for like almost before the hand signs. We see him, Sakura, and the lady to Sakura's right on the panel.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the body flicker would be towards Kin off to the very right of this panel. That's how it would look to me.
Well, if she went to the right of that panel,
she would be able to hide behind that branch over there. That giant
Which
like
branch?
the to her right, the giant roots sticking out of the ground. That's like maybe maximum 10 feet to her right. Probably closer to like 5 feet.
So, are you saying she could just like run and hid in the branches instead of trying to attack him?
Yeah, she literally could have just hid and then used body flicker again, cover the same distance, and appear behind Kin. If she's perception blitzing them with body flicker, which is what you're saying,
Okay, so
then they would have no idea where she went.
Okay, in the my interpretation, which is using the body flicker to get to that second panel where we see her after she pulls out the kunai. That from where she is to that distance would be the maximum, around the maximum distance of the body flicker. And for her to body flicker out and hide, she would have to then get closer than she was when she originally body flickered towards him.
No, she wouldn't, because we don't know what the distance is there.
So like she's like 10 feet away from him in
Well, okay,
the panel before
if she's able to body flicker to the left of Kin, the girl that just shoulder checked her,
the guy
why
who
would
shoots
she?
the air blast, I mean.
Well, no, so she body flickers to the right. Under your interpretation, she's body flickering to the right of him because he's looking at her over his right shoulder. In the page where he says, "The nerve of her coming right for me." Kin, look out.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, yeah. So
what?
right
Talk about
there.
this
So
panel.
she is in front of Kin. Kin is to the right of Zaku. Kin is the girl. Zaku's the guy. So scroll down. So under your Kin, she's body flickering. Keep going to that position. That's to the right of Kin.
Yeah, so
Or
in this panel it'd be like right here,
to the
right?
of Zaku. Yeah. So that would be to the right of Zaku, but to the left of Kin. Kin is the girl.
That's
Now,
like
if
a
she
line
can
like
cover,
this,
if she
yeah.
can cover that kind of distance with body flicker, why couldn't she have just body flickered to the side of Kin and stabbed her?
This lady?
Yeah.
Wait, right here?
Yep.
So she's straight on, so she would have to battle flicker through her, like
No, she wouldn't.
body
She could
into
body
her.
flicker right next to her.
Like right to the side and then attack her?
Yep. You're already saying she ends up in that spot anyways, because look at where she ends up. Scroll down. Keep going. Keep going. Right there. Those feet right there, that's Kin leaping away. So you're saying she body flickers there. So if she's body flickering to that spot, or like right next to that spot, and you're saying she's perception blitzing them with 4 movements, then why can't she just body flicker there, perception blitz, and then stab?
Real quick, she doesn't even need to stop the body flicker. She could just wham into Keen like the Raikage does.
Totally agree. Or just hold
Yeah.
the knife out in front of her.
Exactly.
Like on some
There's
like
an option
some,
in literally every battle with someone who has body flicker.
Yeah.
One sec, someone's calling me.
Oh, you're good.
Sounds like a perfect time to transition a little bit.
I actually am
Mini
gonna have to hop off
brain
this soon, but I can chat for a little bit longer.
Alright, cool. Well, unfortunately, I can't share my screen because they are, but oh well, that's really annoying. Okay, well,
Can you make it to where they can't, or can you like?
oh, okay, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, I'm back. I have to share that screen again, but yeah. So like
Well, I can,
either
I
they're a
can
lot
see it.
closer than that original panel
There we go.
depicts, or Sakura went a decent distance and ended up at the dude's side.
But okay, but she's not right. So you're saying she's still body flickering there?
Okay, so it's a short distance based off of that last scan where the lady is jumping into the air. But if we go over to that very first panel we were mentioning before the lady stabs Sakura, well, that would lead me to believe that that first panel is lady stabs into Sakura from Sakura's side, and then Sakura wasn't actually there. She body flickered away to be close to where that dude is. In that last panel.
But we see in frame, like we can see the spot where Kin jumps from, and where Sakura's foot is at on the ground. Those are like maybe a few feet from one another.
Yeah, the dude, is it Keen?
Kin is the girl, Zaku's the guy.
Yeah, Zaku, like, from these two panels, he's facing a completely different direction if the interpretation of her just, like, going past Keen, the girl.
Well, no, that's not necessarily the case, because he's looking at, like, she's to his right, but not directly to his right. Whenever the attack landed, like he could have just taken like his right foot and slid it forward as she was going to attack Sakura. That's not weird, and she would be coming from the same direction. Even like, bro, even the patch of grass is drawn correctly. Like the patch of grass that's like behind Sakura in front of Kin there. If you scroll down and you look at like where Kin's jumping from and where Sakura's at, the patch of grass is drawn how you would imagine it would be drawn if you just flip-flop position. And
Okay,
if
in that original panel,
if it's from a different
between
angle, go ahead.
There's like a direct line of dirt between the dude and Sakura. Between Sakura and the lady, there's a patch of grass. Yes. And yeah, and then in that last panel, there's the dirt from. Wait, let me look.
Oh my goodness.
Unless the lady stabbed Sakura, and Sakura moved onto the grass, then these don't line up. Cause then, but we can move off this topic.
Okay, so couple things. First of all, I'll share my screen. First of all, on this topic, I just have like 3 minutes of stuff to add here. So, on this panel, at this exact moment in time, do we think this is the real Sakura or the wood?
The wood.
Yeah, I think that like when the contact is made is when the trade
wait. I just realized. Is she applying the transformation jutsu to the log when it's teleported? Like,
so that was one of my contentions earlier, is we never see transformation jutsu be able to, like, every time we see transformation jutsu be used, it's on either a person themselves or on something that they're connected to, like that they're holding or that's like right next to them. So if it's in a different place, I think it would be a reach to say that transformation jutsu can be applied to things that are like far away.
so how do you explain it looking like Sakura?
So that's the thing that I said earlier. It appears as if you hit them. That's how it's described when you're actually coming in contact with something else. So I think that whenever we see things like this, it's from the perspective of the person being tricked by the substitution jutsu. Because in the close-up panel of her eye, she's noticing it's a log.
Oh, okay. I was interpreting this as Zaku, not as Keen.
Yeah, that's the log right there.
Interesting.
They show her like realize it's a log.
I got you.
And you're saying the smoke is not from a transformation jutsu, but from a teleportation?
when Keen stabs.
Yeah, I think it's
Sakura.
from a teleportation jutsu.
Okay. Well, keeping in mind she substitutes with the log, with the smoke, and it's just a log. Keeping that in mind, I actually never got to it. I'll get to it in a minute. Actually, I get to it now, but when Kakashi does the same thing against Sasuke with a log, not water, but the log. Let's see, where is it here?
Yeah, this.
Blood.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think that's so basically it happens so quick. What you expect to see is kind of what's shown here. Like this is from the perspective of Sasuke. So then, I'd actually be interested to see if you scroll down.
I mean, a little bit of wood chippings, but
yeah, like what Sasuke says about this. Damn it! He showed me opening on purpose. I fell for his trap. There's something that says it appears as if they were hit, but they weren't really. It might be the data book page, but there's a statement about substitution where it says that, or maybe it's in Sasuke's explanation of substitution jutsu.
Yeah, it's before that. It's the first time the actually uses it. But there, it's like clones can bleed, right?
Say that again.
Clones can bleed.
For a moment.
Yeah, I think clones can bleed. Yeah.
Yeah, and here, is it Sasuke imagining the blood?
Yeah.
Through two panels, where it's
but
like a streak of blood going through the air.
Yeah, well, because Kin didn't stab through her. So Kin.
Yes, she
Kin
did.
hits her right.
I don't think she's shoulder checking her. She's running at her with these and stabbing her with these.
Okay, that's fine. But there wouldn't be any blood in her vision there. But she thinks she's hitting Sakura there. She's not. She's actually hitting a log, and she notices it right afterwards.
So, but my problem with that is every other time that substitution's been used, most notably the Demon Brother example, whenever they dismember Kakashi, Kakashi's splitting apart into multiple pieces of logs that sort of represent that. And same for the water clones that looks like water, whereas obviously you can't make liquidy blood look like wood chippings. I mean, maybe that's what he's going for, but I don't think it's the same thing here.
I mean, I think that's probably what it is, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, fair enough.
And that's being done through a teleportation technique by adding essentially a transformation technique.
Well, I don't even think adding a transformation technique is necessary. Because the way it's described is that you're tricking your opponent with an optical illusion. That's the way it's described.
So the other thing is I was trying to figure out if I can at all deduce which clone Kakashi's swapping off with.
Yeah,
or,
I tried to do that.
However many clones there are, or if he's making a new clone or transforming into a clone, or it's impossible to track because you can't even determine how many clones Naruto even spawned. It's between 6 to 8 from what I can see, and it's always inconsistent. There's even an implied 9th because Naruto was in the water, did the shadow clone technique. These are all the clones. How does one even get behind him in a way to where Kakashi can even pretend like he didn't notice?
Oh, by the way, sorry, I knew this statement existed. The data book entry on this says, the body in an instant, it changes into a block of wood, taking the enemy by surprise. With this technique, one replaces their own body with a block of wood or something the moment the attack lands. This creates an optical illusion, making the enemy think that the attack was successful. From this, user that can then use to lap the enemy's attention to attack or flee from the battlefield. It's a basic ninjutsu even taught at the academy, but it's a useful art applied for all kinds of situations. Kakashi's magnificent body replacement technique. Naruto saw nothing else but him being hit by the attack. So it specifically calls it an optical illusion. So I don't think that it's something that is an actual illusion, using transformation. like fooling them. I think it's an optical illusion, which is they're expecting to see something, and so that's what we're being shown is what they expect to see.
The way it describes it there
it-
is that the reason it's an illusion is because at
Oh,
Good.
Kamui, cut
your
out.
brain is
Oh, Kamui, you're
getting
cutting
that.
out. You cut out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Oodie, can you go to chapter 9? Yeah,
This
that's
is
the one where he
not
gets
your
cut
night.
in to pieces.
Gladly.
This is one of the best uses of substitution ever.
And one of the
Go.
most ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wrapped around him. No
Mhm.
hand signs, but that's okay. Gosh, he's freaked out expression, that's fake, but still. So this is like what they're visually saying, that's fine, but
In the air, and right there's blood too.
I guess it's gonna be next chapter, so crazy they ended a chapter on that. That's a cliffhanger.
Especially that early in the series.
Yeah. See.
Yeah,
guess
you-
it says
you-
it
I think
later.
that was it
literally-
for the cutting in
You
half.
literally never see the aftermath outside of what they saw initially.
But they
Okay,
does
either
that
they're
like explain
imagining
it?
the blood, or the teleportation jutsu is creating something that looks like blood to make an optical illusion.
Yeah, I think it's an
Okay.
optical illusion. That's how it's described.
Okay, so in the anime they show it. They don't show it in the manga. They like do like a flashback to when it happens, and like the limbs turn into the logs.
Yeah, and well, even if you zoom in on the panel where they're like, "Hey, Master Kakashi," in chapter the end of the chapter where the substitution happens. You zoom in. No, scroll down. Zoom in on the panel. That one, bro. That looks like wood chunks, dog.
Yeah, and there's blood in the air.
Yeah. So it's. But if you were to rip apart a log with something like that, you would have splinters fly off, not just like perfectly split the log.
Yeah.
So that it's just like whenever you saw the blood coming off of Kakashi's face with the kunai, and then when you see the log, you see those splinters off to the side in the exact position the blood was in. It's just an optical illusion that's tricking their minds. It's like in Kakashi Hiden, he moves so fast he can create after images, but like his opponents are convinced that they hit him because they think they hit the after image.
Yeah, I think
Same
the
kind of-
point is that because what's supposed to happen, like basically the moment you hit them is when the body, according to the databook description, whether you think it's speed blitzing or space time doesn't really matter. The point is the objects, according to the description, don't get swapped until pretty much the moment the attack lands. So
Yeah.
that's why it would be an illusion, because you're basically a millisecond away from hitting them, and your mind just tricked into thinking it worked. When in reality, so then when you see the wood splinters, your mind hasn't had a chance to realize what's actually there yet, so it looks like blood, what you would imagine, basically. One way to think of
So you're
it.
saying that them imagining hitting him can be an optical illusion, right?
So
That's
no,
one way to interpret it, at least. Like it's just like your brain's tricked into it.
Yeah,
So instant, it's not you hit the actual
it's
person.
an optical illusion though. It's not an illusion brought on by like some sort of transformation, because like
Yeah, not
transformation
magic, it's
jutsu
just,
would be a
like,
different
real
kind
life.
of trick.
Yeah.
Isn't it essentially a hologram trick?
So I no, I mean, not, yeah, definitely not. It's not a hologram trick because like you would change like your appearance entirely. Like it wouldn't be like you're projecting an image on yourself, like you like dead ass shapeshift. Versus like an optical illusion is like when you see something that looks like something else, but actually is something else. Like I mean, I'm sure you've seen optical illusion, like the stair optical illusions that you see where it looks like all four stairs are going downwards, but they're not. Like things like that. Like it's like there is something there, but your brain is tricking you into thinking that it's something else.
Yeah.
So like optical illusions take place in the brain. Like it's your mind being tricked versus like actually tricking you with like your real eyeballs. Like the transformation jutsu wouldn't really count as an optical illusion.
I would kind of have to see the kanji you're referring to see if there's like a strict semantical range where it can only mean illusion being formed by a line on the eyes, or if it can just be in general illusion.
So by the way, just definitionally, I just Google it really quick. Optical illusion is a visual perception that misinterprets the actual nature of a real object, often due to the way the brain processes visual information. These illusions can be caused by various factors, including color, light, and patterns, and they can create a perception that doesn't match reality. Optical illusions are not errors of the eyes, but rather a result of the brain's interpretation of visual input. So that's in line with what I would be arguing. In terms of the kanji itself, that's chapter for the data book page.
Yeah, for the kanji used for the specific use of that illusion.
The optical illusion part.
Illusion kanji. Yeah.
Yeah.
For that kanji. But like for the substitution with Kakashi, when Sasuke hits him with a bunch of kunai and he bleeds for 2 panels, and it doesn't even seem like a quick scene like this one where he looks like he just like casually moves to the side, casually moving to the side as he's been hit. It doesn't seem like a quick second thing where you imagine that wood as blood, where it's.
I mean, I don't really see why it would be a problem. I'm not gonna lie.